Krishna. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalaakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Guruve Namaha. Namo Vishnupadaya Krishna Pristhaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisheshaya Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jayo Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhakta Vrinda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Okay, Hare Krishna everyone. So today is the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita. So still more 8 chapters are there. Still more 8, 9 and 10 maybe. Still more 10 chapters are there. So 18 chapters. So we are in the 8th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, and almost it's the more nectarian part of Bhagavad Gita is going to come on the 9th, 10th chapter. Tomorrow's chapter is where Krishna will reveal so many secrets. Okay. So Akshara Brahma Yoga, which is the attaining the supreme. What was the last question that actually Krishna says to Arjuna? What was the last thing that Krishna says to Arjuna? Previous class, where I told it's connecting to the next class. Which one it is? Anybody remembers? Yes, quickly. Which was the last part of yesterday's chapter where Krishna told something. So I told it's connecting to the next chapter. Which one it is? It's connecting to 8th chapter, I told. What does Krishna tell after knowing all these glories? What will happen to a devotee? How can he remember Krishna? Yes, delusion to devotion. End of the chapter. Krishna told one thing. What? What is it? When will we remember Krishna? If we remember Krishna at that moment, our life will be successful. Which moment is that? Yes, at the time of death. Correct. Sairaj Pillai. Yes, Rishi, he will see the everything as Paramatma. Okay. But then at the time of death, no, Krishna tells, if you know these glories, you can understand me even at the time of death. No? So now this chapter is going to speak about what happens at the time of death. No, nobody likes to speak about death and everything. But now Krishna is going to tell what will happen to a person who is a devotee. What will happen to him when because devotee means also he is in material world only. No, he has made a devotional service, but still his body is going to die one day. So after that, what will happen? No, Krishna says again and again you have to take birth. But what about devotee? When he does devotion, what happens to him? That Krishna is going to speak in this chapter. So this is just an overview. There are 6 sections, but only 28 shlokas are there. That's not a big deal. So we'll just discuss about these things. The first is that Arjuna is going to ask some questions here. As I said in the previous class, that Krishna speaks about some things about the person who is going to die and what happens to him. He will also remember Krishna at the time of death. So now Arjuna, that means Arjuna is going to ask, how is it possible, Krishna? And what are those things we should consider before we going to die? Those things are asked here. Then here, remembering Krishna at the time of death, how we can do that, and remember Krishna by Yoga Mishra. We understood, right? That is Karma Yoga, Jnana Yoga, Dhyana Yoga, right? So first Krishna is going to speak about Dhyana Yoga, which is, and then he's going to tell about Bhakti Yoga. Even Dhyanis, they will also meditate on Krishna. In the end, I said, no, Samadhi, they'll see Krishna. And then devotees also do the same, no? At the end of their life, they will be seeing Krishna. So now Krishna, in the end, he's going to compare which is better way to see Krishna. And then whatever the material world, this we have experienced this material world, but we don't have the experience of spiritual world. So Krishna is going to tell what is spiritual world and what is material world and how it is different. So after death, you want to go to Krishna. So Krishna is in spiritual world. So you want to know, right? When you are going to another place, like you are going for a trip. No, you're going to for a trip for somewhere in Mumbai or anywhere. You are going there. But then without knowing where you will stay, what is that place, how is that place, you won't likely to shift over that place, no? First you will research where you are going trip. You will first research what are the availabilities, how are the people there. No, if you are going to America, if you are going to New York, you don't directly decide. You will first research about that place, no? How are the people over there, how is it, what are the cost and everything. You'll compare. If you can live over there, then only you can shift. So now devotees, they want to go to spiritual world. First you should know about the spiritual world, then only you will recognize there are so many lokas. Okay, there are so many planets around. So how will you identify that this planet is spiritual world? That's why Krishna is going to give this knowledge to us. So supremacy of bhakti, pure bhakti is attained by attaining Krishna. So as I said, first he'll discuss about yoga mishrita bhakti. That means by doing dhyana, by doing yoga, how will you go to Krishna? And then he is going to tell that pure devotional service, without yoga, without karma, without jnana, just by devotional service, how one can attain. In the end of the chapter, he tells, he compares both of that, and he tells that bhakti yoga, how bhakti yoga is easier to go to Krishna than other ways. Okay, so that's what it is told in this chapter. So Arjuna is going to ask 8 questions in the 8th chapter. It's very easy to understand. 8 questions in the 8th chapter. So Arjuna is going to ask first 8 questions. What are those? Kim tad Brahma. First he asks what is Brahman, not Brahma, not Lord Brahma. He's going to ask what is Brahman. Then Kim Adhyatma. That means who is self. Adhyatma means myself. Kim Karma Purushottama. Kim Karma. That means what is fruitive activity, Karma Kanda, and who is Purushottama. That means who is Purusha, who is the Supreme Lord here. And then he's asking Adi Bhutancha Kim Proktam Adi Daivam Kim Uchyate. That means what about this material manifestation, and who are those demigods who are ruling this material manifestation? And after that, in the second shloka, Adi Yagna, he's going to ask about the term Adi Yagna. That means it's from the previous chapter. In the 7th chapter, in the end shloka, if you see, Krishna used these words, Adi Yagna, Brahman, he used these words, and Arjuna heard those words clearly. And then now, contemplating on those words, he's asking Krishna in the 8th chapter that you use these words in your previous dialogues. So I'm not getting what are those words you used. So he is using, one is Brahman, one is Adhyatma, one is Karma, and another one is Adi Bhuta, that means the demigods, and then Adi Daivas, and then Adi Yagna, then which one? Then about that means Adi Yagna means the sacrifice life of the body, and then which part does he live? That means in our whole body, where is this Adi Yagna residing? And who is this Adi Yagna? And where does he reside? That means Adi Yagna is a person. So where does he reside? And then he asks, at the time of death, how should I remember you? The last question is the whole chapter. The first question he's going to answer Krishna. Even in upcoming chapters, he's going to answer these questions. But then he is specifically straining on the last question of Arjuna. How to remember you at the time of death? Because that was the Krishna's conclusion in the 7th chapter. So Arjuna did not understand. No, we also did not understand. How can I remember Krishna at the time of death? Now Krishna is telling, you can remember me even at the time of death. But how? That is going to be answered in this chapter. So one is Brahma, Adhyatma, Adi Daiva, Adi Yajna, then Pranaya Kale. Okay, then what is it? This is the, as I said, this was used in the previous chapter. So Krishna uses Jara Marana Mokshaya Mam Ashrita Tantiye Te Brahma Tad Vidhu Krishnam. Krishnam is the thirst, and then Adhyatmam Karma Chakilam. So now these words were used in the 7th chapter. And from these words which were used, Arjuna found out those words and he was like, what are these words? I want to know in detail. Please tell me. So he is going to ask, one is Brahman, spirit. No, what is Brahman? Can anybody tell me? We understood this part of Brahman in 2nd chapter. What is Brahman? Already the answer is there. But then there we discussed another type of Brahman. What was it? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. What is Brahman in those 3 aspects? Here Brahman means Jiva. What was that Brahman there in the 2nd chapter? Brahman, Paramatma, and Bhagavan. What was Brahman? Krishna? Yes. Super soul is Paramatma. Brahman means the effulgence coming from the super soul. It's just a light. Okay. Supreme God is Bhagavan. Super soul is Paramatma. Brahman is the light of that supreme God. Okay, you can see the picture. No, every picture of Krishna, there is a kind of light coming from his body. No, that light, what we see is actually, yes, the Brahma Jyoti, correct. That's the light coming from Krishna's body. That's Brahman. But here, what Brahman, Krishna is telling is the Jiva. See, even that Brahman, Krishna is also Sachidananda Vigraha. We are also Sachidananda Swarupa. But Krishna is the complete form. We are just a part of Krishna. So that Brahman, which in the 8th chapter, what he is using is the Jiva. That means we, the living entities, which are the Sachidananda Swarupa, but very minute particles of Krishna. Then is Adhyatma. Adhyatma means the controller. That's the nature of Jiva. What are we doing in this body? We are controlling, we are trying to control this body, right? We are Atmas inside this body and we are trying to control. So he is the controller of the body. That's the nature of Jiva. No, Jiva is the one and his nature or his character is to control the body. So that's Adhyatma. And then Karma. Karma means the fruitive activity. And I said that Karma Kanda means you're doing some activity, in return you're getting some fruits, and in that way you're eating that fruit, again you're bowing that seed of that fruit in another field. So in that way what happens, which is leading in the bounding, which is making us bound in this material world, which is not allowing us to go out, right? Because action reaction, the chain is there. That's karma chain. So it won't allow us to go out. So that's what it said, action leading to material body. As I said, to taste the fruit, you have to have a certain kind of a body. No, if you want to eat raw meat, you can't eat in this body. So what does Prakriti give? She gives the body of a tiger. Go enjoy, eat that. But she won't allow you to go out of this material world. She'll keep on changing your dresses, but she won't let you free. That's what the material world, and that's what karma is doing us. It is capturing in this material world. It won't allow you to go. Then is Ati Bhuta. That's this material nature. Bhuta means the, even we are called Jiva Bhutas. So Adi Bhuta, this is material world or material manifestation. Earth, water, fire, air, ether, these are all material manifestation which are in this material nature, which is bounding us in this world. Adi Daiva means the supreme demigods, all devatas. When Krishna showed in universal form, in that Vyasdeva, actually Sanjaya tells, even Arjuna tells that universal form, thousands of arms were there for Krishna, unlimited arms, unlimited head, unlimited eyes. So Arjuna sees that and he tells that Krishna, I can see so many demigods. So many demigods are in your limbs. That means one part of his body, Krishna's body, were made up of all demigods. So they are serving as Krishna's, Krishna is there, but then demigods in this material world, they are like the servants of Krishna who are serving on order of Krishna. So they are called Adidevas in universal form, which includes all the demigods. So when Krishna showed universal form in the 11th chapter, you can see that all the demigods were in Krishna's legs, hands, mouth, and everywhere, because they were serving Krishna in that way. So here it is said Adideva means the demigods. Same demigods are making the rain, fire, all these particles in the world. So they are the demigods. And then Adi Yagna. Adi Yagna means the enjoyer of sacrifice. Whatever yagna you're doing. Goptaram yagna tapasam sarvaloka maheshwaram. Right? In the 5th chapter, we learned that. Goptaram yagna tapasam. All the yagnas and tapas, what you are doing, Krishna is the only enjoyer, not you. We think we are doing yagna and we have to enjoy the that fruits of the yagna. But Krishna is telling, if you realize that only Krishna is the enjoyer, then you won't suffer. So Krishna is telling Adi Yagna means none other than the Paramatma form, the Shankha, Chakra, Gada, Padma form of Krishna, the super soul form of Krishna is called as Adi Yagna. And where does he reside? Krishna tells he resides in the heart of all living entities. And how to remember Krishna in the depth at the time of death? Practice throughout life. No, exams are there. Exams are in the end. Can anybody keep the exams in the beginning of your semester? No, they will keep in the end of your what you tell, the term or the periods of your college. They'll keep in the end. No, semester end. They'll keep the exams. And what you have to do? A good student will practice the entire student life. He'll practice to crack that exam. Similarly, if you want to see Krishna at the time of death, that's the biggest exam. So if you practice throughout your life, at the time of death, it becomes easy. So Krishna says, Aksharam Brahma Paramam Swabhavo Dhyayatuchyate Bhuta Bhavodbhavo Karo Visarga Karma Sanyita. The Supreme Lord said, the indestructible transcendental living entity is called as Brahman. The eternal nature is called as the self. Action attaining the development of material body is called karma or fruitive activity. So these three are combined. One is Brahman and second is the Adhyatma and karma. We are souls. Okay, we are in this body. Because we are desiring to do something or our activities are in this material world, because we are not devoted to Krishna, our activities, reactions will directly come to us. And when reactions are coming, to enjoy those reactions, to suffer those reactions, either it is suffering or you are enjoying. Two reactions. No, if you are doing punya, if you are doing good work, you will get good reactions. If you are doing bad work, you will get bad reactions. But you have to enjoy because you are not devoted to Krishna. So you have to enjoy those two things. To enjoy those two things, you need a particular kind of body. And those bodies given by the Prakriti according to your actions and reactions. Sometimes we may think, why this person by birth he's blind? We don't know, but Prakriti knows. He was enjoying by killing people. He was enjoying by putting hot rods in the eyes of some animals. That's why in next life he became a blind by birth. We don't know. We see from this birth. But Prakriti, but Paramatma, he knows from previous birth. According to the wish of that person, according to the activity, according to the reaction of that person, he will get this body. So in this way, Krishna is telling living entities, the soul, in every body, it's trying to enjoy. And because he wants to do all this karma kandas, all fruitive activities, it will go on changing its body from an ant to greatest than the greatest demigods. Doesn't matter. Again, they have to revolve. No? But then Krishna tells, but what about those devotees? They are always in Krishna Lila. You can see this. If you are always in sexual desires, womanizing, then obviously Super soul is in our heart. Krishna said, no, where is Adi Yajna? Where is super soul? It's in heart. Why he is in our, why Krishna is in our heart as super soul? Anybody can tell? Is he mad to be in our heart? Why is Krishna in our heart? Why he is he sitting? Why will a person keep on watching you? Yes, to know our desires. He's like a judge. He'll see you what you are doing. If you are doing a good work or bad work or devotional work, he'll see. No, karma, vikarma, akarma. He'll see what are you doing. Yeah, to keep a check on us. And because see, we may act like a good person in front of millions of people, but Krishna is in our own heart. He knows all our desire. Before we act, he already knows what we are going to act. What was our desire, he already knows. But then he waits you to choose if you are going good or bad. But then he just lets you go. He just keeps a track on your activities. And we might think, why we became like this? Why am I suffering? I did not do any sinful activities in this life. But Krishna knows you had done some activities in your previous life, and because of that, you are suffering in this life. Krishna knows it because Krishna has seen your hundreds of janmas. You have just witnessed one or two janma of that person, one janma. But Krishna has witnessed hundreds and thousands of millions of janmas of yours. So he knows. So if you were doing all these janmas, just humanizing and everything, then Krishna will think, why should I make this person? Why should I give this a person to become a human? Why should I give that chance? Better he become a dog because dog can enjoy more than a human being in this way to womanize and everything. So he can do in a better way. So better he goes to a dog's life, dog's body, so that he can enjoy that thing in more. And then he thinks if a person is eating whatever he like, liquor, meat, and everything, then Krishna thinks, why should I give him a human life? Let him become a pig. What will happen? Pig can eat whatever and anything. So I will give him a freedom in the pig's life. Whatever he wants, let him eat. And then you are doing so much punya karma. We saw in the previous, the fifth chapter, right? Punya karmas. They are doing karma, but they are not remembering the Lord. They are just doing for fame and name. A good-hearted person, but then he doesn't remember Krishna while doing this. He thinks he itself is doing. Then Krishna is like, okay, you're good. So you can go to the heavenly bodies and enjoy there for certain time in a heavenly body. Like a demigods and everything. Apsaras are there. So many nice activities you will have. Daily you will have food, nice palatable food. You will enjoy for 1,000 year or 2,000 year or 10,000 year. After that, you come back here. Why? That punya, whatever you had gained, it is empty now. You come back. And again you have to get punya. But then if you do devotional service, what happens? Krishna will take all the punyas and papas. No, that's why papa is, however, suffering. But people don't know even punya is suffering. Punya, you will go to the heavenly planets, 10,000, 11,000. It's like a dream world. You will go to a dream. And when you wake up, all dream is gone. No, you are in reality. Similarly, when you're doing punya, you will get, good work, you will get punya. You will go to heavenly body. Like Indra, you will enjoy. After some year, Indra also have to die. No. After some year, you will again come back to this material world. Again, you have to rot here, suffer here. No. People think if I do good work, I'll get good. That's enough. But then they don't know that good will also go one day. But then if you do devotional service, what does Krishna says? Swalpamapyasya dharmas. Even if you give little to me, it's fine. I will take you back. I won't allow you to suffer in this material world. Somehow Krishna will arrange your life in such a way that somehow you will get devotees. Somehow you will understand Bhagavad Gita. Somehow you will start chanting his names and go back to Godhead. That's how Krishna will arrange your life. Now you can see this last picture here. How nicely they are enjoying there. No suffering. And then Krishna says, you won't come back to this material world once you attain the spiritual world. In this chapter only, after some slokas, he says that how spiritual world is. And once you enter into spiritual world, you don't want to come back to this material world. You won't do mistake again to come back this material world, right? So here Krishna says the physical nature is known to be the endless mutable. The universe is the cosmic form of the Supreme Lord, and I Lord represented the super soul dwelling in the heart of every living embodiment. That's why Krishna is in this, is representing this whole world, but then he is there in us also as the super soul. Okay, so what should we do at the time of death? What should we do? What should we do? We should, you know, part our property. We should say goodbye to our family. We should call all the relatives to home. See, I'm just have 10 days left. Please come see me. I want to see you all. Please come. Or else you have a big property in your home. You have to, 50% for my son, 50% for my daughter. These things are very important, no? At the time of death. What should I do? Yes, we should remember Krishna. Why it is important to remember Krishna? Why? I can't see Krishna, so why should I even remember him? I can see my relatives, so I should remember relatives, no, at the time of death. Oh, my wife, my children, my grandchildren. I should remember them, no? What happens if you remember Krishna? Die alone? Remember and go back to Krishna? Chant Krishna's name over all lifetime, and then at the time, yes, 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 that's how. You should remember Krishna in the time of death. Why? Because once you remember Krishna, Krishna will take you back, and then you will never see the face of material world. If you remember your relatives and everybody, because you're attached. Why you are remembering relatives and your children and wife? Because you are attached to them in this material world. Because you don't know they are also soul, I am also soul. Because of that ignorance, we are thinking that all these people are mine. But then we don't realize that nobody is ours. Rather, everybody is a soul. Today I will die here as a grandfather, as a father. Tomorrow I may become an insect. I never know. After dying, my next life may be an insect, maybe a bird, maybe a cat. I don't know. No, today I'm so attached to this family. Tomorrow, I don't know what will happen to me. So Krishna says, what he says, Antakale cha mam eva smaran mukva kalevaram ya prayasi samadbhava yanti nastyatra samshayaha. And whoever at the time of death quits the body, remember me alone, at once attain my nature. Oh, this is, of this there is no doubt. Krishna, what he says in the end? Yatri nasti atra samshayaha. Don't doubt me. Arjuna, don't doubt me. If you remember me at the time of death, you will certainly come to me. That's what Krishna is telling. Who is this personality here? Sleeping? What did he do? Yes, Bhishma Pitamaha. Correct. Right? What did he do at the time of death? Which was that thing Bhishma Pitamaha told, which is very famous? Seeing Krishna, he told some verses. What are those verses called as? Anybody knows? What are those verses that Bhishma Pitamaha told seeing Krishna at the time of death? Thousands of names. What are those? Vishnu Sahasranama, right? This is how, Prabhupada said, this is how we should leave our body, right? He told, actually in Bhagavatam, there is Bhishma Stuti, very beautiful song by Bhishma. If you know that tune, you can actually relish that song. In that Prabhupada writes so many things of Bhishma Pitama. He writes how How fortunate was Bhishma Pitama. He had Icha Mrityu, right? He could have been dead, or he would have not dead itself. Even still, even if he was in Kali Yuga, he would have lived happily. But then he wanted to leave the body in front of Krishna. That was his desire. That was his desire to leave the body in front of Krishna. And he tells in Bhishma Stuti to Yudhishthir Maharaj, he was very sad. He was like, I killed all of my brothers and everybody. So many people are dead. How can I lead a king as a king now? So they were all distressed. So Bhishma Pitama tells, don't be like that. Do your duty. But then see this person, he shows Krishna. You can see this finger. He is actually showing to Krishna. Yudhishthir Maharaj is praying. They are lifting his head and they are trying to listen to Bhishma Pitama. Bhishma tells, Yudhishthira, my dear son, you see this personality? He is acting like one of your cousins. He is acting like Arjuna's friend. He is acting like Shanti Duta. He is acting like your cousin brother. But don't forget, the same personality is the personality of Godhead, the supreme personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna, who can deliver everybody in 1 second, not even 1 second. He tells that this person who's acting like a human being amongst the human being is not actually a human being. He is the supreme personality of Godhead himself. So Bhishma Pitama could identify Yudhishthir Maharaj. He is the God himself. You are so fortunate, Pandavas. You are so fortunate that Krishna himself is with you. That is the fortunate of Pandavas. So that's what Bhishma Pitama told. Okay. Here somebody told, I want to die alone, remembering Krishna. Actually, you can't. When you die alone, actually you can't remember Krishna. Why? Maya will catch you somehow, or the she wants you to remember about your past life and not Krishna. So how you should die? Along, surrounded by devotees. That's the best thing. That's when Bhishma Pitama left his body, he was surrounded by the devotees of the Lord. When Prabhupada disappeared, he was surrounded by the devotees of the Lord, chanting Kirtan, that era, that kind of aura was there around him. And that's how they remember Krishna at the time of death. So that's why when our relatives and somebody, is going to die, people go and read Bhagavad Gita in front of them or Bhagavatam. Best thing is to do the Hare Krishna Mahamantra Kirtan. Why? They can't understand at the time of death, but Hare Krishna Mahamantra Kirtan, the soul hears. So at the time of death, don't think you should leave your body alone. Rather, you should leave your body in amongst the devotees. That's the best thing, because you will remember Krishna. That's how. So of this, there is no doubt. So Krishna says, such a person will definitely arrive Krishna. So Yudhishthir Maharaj once encountered, they had 14 years of exile, no? In Mahabharata time, you remember. After that dice game, Shakuni and Duryodhana, they threw them out, no? Pandavas. They made them to go out. So once what happened? Yudhishthir Maharaj in the forest, he was so thirsty. Suddenly he was so thirsty and there was no water. So first what happens? The youngest brother goes to pick water for the elder brother. No, that's the etiquette. So youngest brother Sahadeva, he went in search of water. He found the way and he was about to take the water from the lake. First he thought, I'll drink, and then, because if he doesn't drink, he can't take it to Yudhishthir Maharaj. He himself was thirsty and about to faint. So he was like, I'll drink. So he was about to take water. Yaksha. Yakshas are none other than, they're a kind of demigods in the Swargaloka. There is Yakshaloka also. They're a kind of demigods, but they are not that much like the Indras and everybody, but they are very tricky people. They'll trick you in any way. So Yaksha, one of the Yaksha, he asked Sahadeva, if you could answer my question, then I'll let you go. If you don't answer my questions, I'll make you unconscious the very moment you drink the water. Sahadeva thought, This is just a magical, if somebody is making a prank of him, and he went to drink the water and he fainted unconsciously and was fallen down. And then Nakula went. Same thing happened. He was also unconscious at the end. Then Arjuna went. He was also unconscious. Bhima went. He was also unconscious. Here, Yudhishthir Maharaj was so thirsty, and suddenly he thought, why all my brothers are disappeared suddenly? Where did they go? So he started following, and he also found the same lake, and same Yaksha told him, if you give me the answer, then I will allow you to drink. So Yudhishthir Maharaj told, not just me, but you should make all my brothers conscious. If I answer your question correctly, then all my brothers should be back to consciousness. Then Yaksha asked one question. What is the most surprising thing you have seen in this world, in this material world? What is the most surprising thing you have seen in this material world? Anybody knows what was the answer given by Yudhishthir Maharaj? Anybody can think? Anybody can guess? What is the most surprising thing in this material world? Anybody could guess? This is the part of Mahabharata where Yudhishthir Maharaj is going to answer about Yakshas. So what does he tell? He tells, Ahani ahani bhutani gachanti yamalayam shesha sthavaram ichanti kim marchayam kim ashrayam atha param. He's telling, it's more wonderful thing to see in this world. Ahani ahani bhutani. Hundreds and thousands of bhutani, that means this living entities, the jiva bhutas, gachanti yamalayam, are meeting the Yamalaya. Yamalaya, nothing but death. No, you're going Yamalaya means you're meeting the death personified. So he tells that thousands and thousands of living entities are meeting death every moment. Every moment. You can see even an ant, when you're just walking, you just put a foot on the ant, he's dead. No, mosquito dead, germs dead. No, each and everything, every moment there is somebody who's dying in this material world. Shesha, remaining people who are not yet dead, they are thinking sthavaram ichanti. What is it? They are thinking nonetheless. Others are thinking himself as deathless and does not prepare for death. Sheshas Thavaram Ichanti. They are thinking they are always permanent here and they are not preparing for their death. Kim Ascharyam Atha Param. So Yudhishthir Maharaj is telling what a wonderful thing in this material world, that every moment they are seeing their own people, own living entities are dying, but still people are thinking of permanent settlement in this material world and never think of the death. No, that's how we are everywhere. Did we ever think what will happen if I die? What will I do? Where will I go? Nobody has this question. Nobody. No, that's how we are in this material world. That's what Yudhishthir Maharaj thought. And Yaksha was so happy by listening to this answer. He made all the brothers conscious back. So how much level was Yudhishthir Maharaj thinking? We can't even reach that. So what will be the result of remembering anything else than Krishna? Now he says, Antakale chamameva smaran mukta kalevaram. No? Antakale chamameva smaran mukta kalevaram ya prayasita madbhava. So he tells, if you remember me at the time of death, you won't come back. Now, if I don't remember, what may happen to me? If I don't remember Krishna, so where will I go? Rebirth. Rebirth as what? Whatever I had thought at the time of death. That's the thing. So Krishna says, Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam tyajatyante kalevaram tam tam evaite konteya sadatad bhava bhavitaha. Yam yam vapi smaran bhavam. At the time of death, tyajatyante kalevaram. At the time of death, kalevaram means this body. When you are giving up this body, that means when you are dying, yam yam vapi smaran. Whatever you have remembered at the time of death, that means Hundreds of desires are going in a reel, but that one desire which caught your eye at the time of death, that what happens? Tam tam evaiti kantaya sadatat bhava bhavitaha. Without a fail, you will attain that same form. Now, if you're attached to your cat in a home, a dog in a home, like attachedness is not just patting, you're like every day with that. Without that, some people are there, no? They'll take that in the car, they'll feed that in the same food, they'll also eat the food which they ate. That kind of a relationship with your pet. Then whole life you are doing the same thing, no? From your childhood till the old age, you are doing the same thing. At the time of death, the same thing will come to your mind, and next life you may become that animal or that person. So who is this personality? Anybody can guess by the pictures? Anybody can guess who is this personality here with a deer? Who is this? Nobody knows. Nobody saw these pictures in iskcon. With a deer, he was attached to the deer. Who is it? Bharat Maharaj. Remember? He is the son of Rishabhadeva. I already told in the second chapter, maybe. He's the son of Rishabhadeva, by whose name this Bharat Varsha had come. The first Bharat. Before that, there was no Bharat. So he was the first Bharat, and he was ruling entire world. And that time, the entire world was called Bharat Varsha, because his kingdom it was. So Rishabhadeva's son, Bharata. So he is Bharat Varsha who made. So he left the whole kingdom. That means he left the whole earthly kingdom and gave it to his son. Okay. So then he left everything. Why? Why did he leave everything? So that he could take Vanaprastha. Vanaprastha means you are going to the Vana, you are going to the forest, and you are meditating on the Lord. You are doing yagna, havans, rishis were living in the forest before, and they used to do all the yagnas and havans. The air which is coming from the sanctified this fire was going to the city, or is going to the villages. Before, it was how it was done. They were doing yagnas in the forest, and the air, the pure air, which it was mixed with the ghee and cow dung and everything, it was going to the city, and that's how people were, the whole city, whole village was getting sanctified by the yagnas which were done by the rishis. So Bharat Maharaj thought, I'll better leave this materialistic life because I want to remember Krishna at the time of death. When one remember Krishna or Vishnu at the time of death, then they will definitely get liberation. He knew that. That's why he wanted to go to the forest and meditate on Krishna. As I said, he was alone in the forest. Okay. And what happened? One day he was just going, and he was not just a normal devotee. Don't think that Bharat Maharaj was just a normal devotee like us. He was exalted devotee. He was in the bhava stage. He was in the total transcendence. But what happened? He was still in the practicing mode. So when he was going in a forest, he was about to do yagnas and havans. He was on the meditation. But then he saw that a tiger, in forest, everything, such a things happens. It's normal. Tiger was chasing a she deer. She was pregnant. The deer was pregnant, and tiger was chasing, and she was in fatigue. When she was about to jump the stream, the she deer, out of so much fatigue and panic, she pre-delivered the baby. That's the baby deer. She delivered it on the stream, and she ran and she died. She was in fatigue. She left her body. Then what happened? This deer was alone in the water, struggling to come out. Bharat Maharaj saw. Out of a good, compassionate heart, he took up that deer, because all of them, whoever it's devotee or non-devotee, but when they have a good heart, they will do this work. So he brought that deer, and he gave shelter. That means he was giving food, because it was so small deer, it was not able. And if he thought, if I leave that here, the tiger will come and eat that flesh. So better I'll take care. So he took care. And day by day, that deer was growing, growing, growing. And you know, right? Animals, you can't control animals, especially when it's a wild animal, you can't control. It's already its habit to run here and there. No, and deer are specially running. So Bharat Maharaj, you can see this middle picture. He is doing yagna, but his concentration was on the deer. He was always thinking, where is the deer? Where is the deer? I want to see him. I want to see him. But he was not concentrating on yagna. What was the purpose of leaving home? To do yagna. What is the purpose of leaving home? So that he don't become attached to the family and wealth and son. But when he came here, his purpose he forgot. He became attached to the deer. So people may ask, why did he come leaving all that home, wife and son, when he wanted to become attached to that deer, you know? So that's how. So he was not concentrating on Krishna, rather he was concentrating on the deer. But you know, deers are not uh, in one place, they run. So he was always running behind the deer. And one day what happened, you can see this picture here. One day what happened, the deers, they have that fast, grip in their legs to jump from the one cliff to another cliff. That means one mountain, they can jump and come down. But humans don't have that grip. And Bharat Maharaj was following that deer. And one day what happened, the deer was coming down from the mountain, and he slipped from the mountain and he fell down and was about to leave the body. He remembered, his purpose was to remember Krishna. Because he got attached to the deer, he remembered the deer at the end of his life, and he became a deer in the next life. So that's how if we, that's what the example for this shloka. Yamyam vapi smaran bhavam tyajat ante kalevaram tam tam evaiti kaunteya sada tadbhava bhavita. That's why I was telling, whatever you see, please try to, prioritize your life very much, because if you are opening to everybody, all the information will come. Prioritize your life for Krishna. That's what is very important. Give more time to Krishna, and Krishna will give his time to call you back. If we give time to unnecessary things, then Krishna won't come at the end of our life. When you give so much time to Krishna, if you give 1 second to Krishna, Krishna will give thousands of minutes for you. He will make arrangement. So that's how Krishna is. So, but then Bharat Maharaj, I said he was an exalted devotee. So its story in Bhagavatam, it continues that he was a deer in his next life, but then he got the association of the devotees in the forest. As I said, devotees used to come to the forest, and whatever they ate, deers are vegetarians. So bananas they eat, they throw that, plate, the leaf. And this deer who was Bharat Maharaj used to have that. And because he was having, he was once, Krishna made him remember his past life. When he was deer, Krishna made him remember his past life. And he struggled. He was like, I don't want this life. And immediately after leaving the body of deer, he again came to the human form, and he was now Jada Bharata, means more strictly in devotional service. That was Bharata, then became a deer. And when he was deer, he got association of devotees. He remembered Krishna. And then in the next life, he became more strict. His name was Jada Bharata. And then he went back to Godhead. So Krishna will help you. Somehow he will help you. But we should see that we don't give trouble to Krishna by misguiding ourselves. So better to prioritize and give time for Krishna rather than all other stuff. So Krishna tells, therefore, Arjuna, you should always think of me in the form of Krishna. No, Krishna is telling, don't think me in the form of Brahma Jyoti or Paramatma. Think me as a Shama Sundara with a flute in your hand, flute in Krishna's hand with the peacock feather. So Krishna is telling, what? Think in the form of Krishna, not Brahman, not light or Paramatma. He's telling, you remember why? Because you can connect more to that Krishna than any other form of Krishna. You can speak to that deity. Deity form you have seen. Krishna is the most sweetest deity. Why? He doesn't have any weapons. He just a flute in his hand. No? He's so sweet, like a small teenage boy. So that's how devotees are connecting to him. And at the same time, Krishna, what he tells, not just that devotional service does not mean you leave everything. It's not possible in Kali Yuga. Please note, leaving everything and going to forest is not possible in Kali Yuga. Rather, Krishna tells what? This Bhagavad Gita is for Kali Yuga people. That's why Krishna is telling. At the same time, do your duty. Do your duty. Your student, studying is your duty. Do that. With the same thing, you also try to chant. As a student, you need not go out for your work and all. You come home, then in the night or in the morning before going to college or school, you keep chanting. At least one round you can chant, no? You chant and then go for your activity. Come back. There's a 888. We have 24 hours, right? Everybody has 24 hours. I don't think so. Somebody has 20 or 22 hours. 24 hours. Divide it into 3. 8 hours, 8 hours, 8 hours. I'm giving this formula. 8 hours you sleep. Sleep is very important, and do other activities. 6 hours you sleep, other 2 hours you get up, you become freshen up and everything. So 8 hours keep for that. 8 hours for your duty. You're going to school, studies and everything. 8 hours you do that. After 8 hours, the 8 hours you give it to Krishna. Like your sadhana, you're chanting, you're reading books, you're reading Prabhupada books, give it for Krishna. So if you give in this way, then it's kind of a balanced Krishna consciousness. So anybody knows the story of Ajamila, or who is this person? This is Ajamila. So I'll quickly tell you. Ajamila, what happened to him? Krishna will give you a second chance. So Ajamila's story says about the second chance. What is it? Once when Ajamila, this personality called Ajamila, he was going for picking flowers for Krishna's puja. We do pujas in the home. So morning, he used to go for the forest, and forest flowers have more fragrance. So they get from forest. So he was always giving to the forest flowers to his father, so the father can use for puja. But then what happened? One day he was going to the forest and he saw two people giggling. One is the prostitute and one is the Shudra, that person who was drunk. And they were giggling, prostitute and the drunkard. So Jamila, he did not have seen it. That's why I told, alone is not a thing. Alone, then Maya will capture you. Ajamila was alone in the forest. That's why Maya captured him. Maya made him see that prostitute. That's why we should be in association of devotees. We are more protected. Why? Devotees will pull you back. Most of the cases, rape cases or suicide cases or acid attack cases, it happens in the night. Why? Because people are alone in the tamasic way. But then when people are there around you, you can't do any simple activities. So being in devotee association is very important. If you're alone, Maya will catch you. Same thing happened with Ajamila. He was alone in the forest and he thought, if I see for few seconds, what's wrong? Sometimes even in the YouTube, it comes. When something obnoxious comes, you want to scroll up. But then your mind says, oh, this is quite nice. I can see for few seconds and then I'll scroll up. But then you end up seeing the whole thing. Exactly happened to Ajamila. He thought of seeing for 5 seconds, 1 second. But then it went to 5 seconds, 5 seconds to 1 hour. He was seeing prostitute and drunkard. And then his mind got into the Maya. And then he thought, why is that prostitute enjoying with that drunkard? She should come to me. And then he thought of bringing that prostitute to home. And somehow, family members got to know, his wife got to know. He had a wife. And she left. The parents, they were dead. And then, because prostitutes are not satisfied, they want liquor, they want money. He started plundering people. He started killing. He was a Brahmana's son. But then see what happened to him. What happened to him? What did Maya make him do? He plundered. He killed so many people. And ultimately, at the age of 80, he had a son of 8-year-old. So you can see his sex desire was so high at that moment also. Then what happened? Somehow, because Krishna knew his childhood. Krishna knew that this person was my devotee, but somehow he got slipped. Krishna made him to keep the youngest son's name as Narayana. And right? If you are a youngest child, you know that parents love you more. If you are an elder child, you know your younger siblings are most loved. So loved ones. So Ajamila loved that small child, 8-year-old child, Narayana. And he used to call, Narayana, did you eat food? Narayana, did you go there? Did you go here? So he was constantly chanting the name of Narayana, but it was not for the god, it was for the child. At the time of death, he saw Yamadutas coming because he did all sorts of sinful activities. With prostitute, he had 10 children with him. And then they wanted to capture the soul of Ajamila and take to Yamalaya. That means Yamadutas came there. Seeing them out of scared, he said, Narayana, Narayana, where are you? It was for not Krishna, it was for his son, he told. But then Krishna is so merciful. He considered, oh, my devotee is calling me. He sent Vishnudutas there. So Vishnudutas went and they told, and the whole conversation is recorded in Bhagavatam in the 6th canto. You can just read if you want. So there, Yamaraj comes and tells, whoever chants the name of Krishna in their life, they will never see Yamadutas in their life. If they were Kantimala, if they were Tilak, if they tell Hare Krishna Mahamantra in their mouth, they will never see Yamadutas in their entire life. They won't see at the time of death. Rather, they will see only Vishnudutas. But then Vishnudutas in the end, they told Ajamila, although you chanted the name of the Lord, but then you made sinful activities. So you go to Haridwar and repent for your sinful activities and chant the name of the Lord with Shuddha, pure heart. Then we will come back. So after they went, Ajamila left everything. He did not see the prostitute. He did not see any sons. He left to Haridwar. And then for 20 years, he chanted the name of the Lord. At the end of his death, the same Vishnudutas came to him and took him back to Godhead. So this is the picture. He became like Vishnuduta and went back with them. So that's how Krishna is telling this Abhyasa Yoga Yuktena. That means by Abhyasa, by Ajamila did not get. He waited for 20 years to get that name. No? So we have to wait. And what to do? We have to constantly chant. We were like Ajamila before, but now we got second chance. No? There is a book in iskcon called Second Chance, which Ajamila's story is described in it. So devotees tell that is the same. We are same like Ajamilas. Why? We are so much into this material world. We have forgotten Krishna. But Krishna wants somehow us to come back to him. And that's how he arranges all these things. No? So Krishna says, if you are devoted in Krishna consciousness, in patience, there should be patience in you. Today you chanted, tomorrow you can see Krishna. That's not possible. Ajamila waited for 20 years. What are we doing? We are not even for 20 minutes, we can't chant Hare Krishna Mahamantra. So slowly by slowly, when we engage in devotional service, when we are in devotee association, what happens? Krishna will help us to go back to Godhead. So his mind is constantly engaging, remembering me, undeviated in the path. Oh, Partha is sure to reach me. Okay. So how should I remember? Now remembering is done. How should I remember? So Krishna says, one should meditate upon the Supreme Person as the one who knows everything. As he is the oldest, he is the controller, he is the smallest than the smallest, who is the maintainer of everything, who is beyond the material conception, who is inconceivable, who is the always a person. Again, a person. Krishna is not a light or something. He is a person. He is the luminous like the sun, and being transcendental is the beyond the material nature. You can just have a photo of Krishna like this with Shyama Sundara, made by devotees. It's better when you watch the paintings, when you made by devotees. Yes, we can meet, but then there is a procedure. No, if you want degree, then you should enroll into a college. Then whatever college tells, you should follow that. And when you follow that, then you will actually get that certificate. So when you come to Krishna consciousness, you should follow whatever Prabhupada has told. Reading about Krishna, chanting Krishna's name. First is you have to start chanting Krishna's name. It's said that when you chant Krishna's name, Krishna is actually present there. But the only thing is we are ignorant. We don't know how Krishna is. We have never seen Krishna. So we are ignorant. But Shastra reveals us. No? Shamam Kwananta. That means he is in the Shama form. He is in the fresh rain clouds. You can see bluish, dark bluish, beautiful. It looks very beautiful. Not the tsunami clouds. Somewhere it's hot sun, but then somewhere it's very cloudy. So it makes you more feel very relished, very good. So that color is Krishna's. It's like the cloud color, that bluish color. And then he wears a peacock. Marhapidam natavarakam karnayo karnikana. He wears a beautiful golden earring with a flute in his hand. Shama Sundara form with the flute in his hand. So Shastras are describing Krishna, and never it is told one Shastra is describing Krishna in one form, another Shastra is describing another form. No, if you compare overall Shastras, everywhere Krishna's form is same with the Shama Sundara form. That's how Krishna is. So here all the Shastras are giving, all the Acharyas are revealing to us how Krishna is. Krishna himself is telling to us how he is. So we know that Krishna's form is like this. So we should start meditating on that form, not this mundane actors. They just wear a big mukut and make like Krishna. Not that. Rather, you should meditate what Shastras are revealing us, what scriptures are telling us. That's how Krishna is. Many devotees in their life itself, and there are so many devotees. There was a story of Sakshi Gopal. That same Gopal deity with Shama Sundara form, blackish deity. It walked for a lord. He was in, he was like in a court. He wanted a witness, but witness was only Krishna. So Krishna from Vrindavan, he walked to Puri, Orissa. Krishna himself walked. So you can see Krishna in this life, but our surrender matters. No, Krishna tells, how is your surrender? That much I'll reciprocate. If you think I'm just a stone in a temple, then I will be a stone. I will think you are a stone-hearted. Krishna also has the thoughts. No, he will think, if I'm a stone for you, you are also a stone for me. I won't reciprocate to you. So if we call like Draupadi, if we call like Gajendra, why can't we see Krishna? We can see. But the only thing is, are we surrendered to Krishna? That's the most important. That person, that Brahmana was surrendered. That's why Krishna came walking till Puri, till Orissa. We are not surrendered. Which deity will walk for us? No deity will walk for us. No, but he walked. Why? He was a great devotee of Krishna. No, Madhavendra Puri. Krishna used to personally come and give him a pot of milk to drink, because it was hot sun. Madhavendra Puri was not having anything. So Krishna, as a Gopal, small boy, he came and gave the bottle of, matka of milk. And he kept, you keep this matka, I'll come in the evening. But he never came. Then Madhavendra Puri realized that was Gopal himself who came, Krishna himself. He was in Vrindavan. So why can't we see Krishna? Because our eyes are not made like that. Because we don't have Premanjana Churita Bhakti Vilochana. Only by the love we can see Krishna. But we don't have love. We are fully in lust. That's the difference. So Krishna says that one who remembers me with devotion, deviation, without deviation, I'm easy to obtain. So Krishna is easy to obtain. but you should not be deviated to material world. So what is the difference? Mamupetyatu punarjanma dukkalem ashashvatam. Krishna is saying this material world is dukkalem ashashvatam. In pustakalaya, what do you get? Pustaks. No? In shauchalayam, what do? You become clean by washing yourself. And then grantalayam, you get granthas. And dukkalayam, you get dukkha. So this Krishna is telling, this is dukkalayam. This material world is dukkalayam. You can't expect happiness here. We are fools who are expecting happiness in this material world. Ashashvatam, this is temporary. That's what Yudhishthira Maharaj told. No? Every moment there is one person dying, but we don't realize it. Sorry. Napnuvanti Mahatmana Samsiddhi Paramam Gata. One who realizes this, then he'll attain the spiritual world. Brahma Bhuvana Loka. This was the sloka which I told. From the planet of Brahma to the planet of demigods and to the planet of hellish planets, even the ant, everybody has to die. But time difference is there. Brahma will die after millions of years, ant will die seconds later. So that's just the difference. But then everybody has to die. Mamupetyatu Kaunteya. If you worship me, Krishna is telling. First he tells Brahma Bhuvana Loka Punaravartino Arjuna. But Mamupetyatu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyat. If you remember me, then there is no rebirth at all. So that's what. By human calculation, thousands of age to gather duration of Brahma. So now Brahma's age is told because he's speaking about Brahma. So even a Brahma who is of millions of years old will also die. Again and again, the day comes and the host begins to activate. Brahma will make pralaya of his descending planets, right? The earth, the Swarga, he'll make a pralaya of that. But when Krishna thinks of making pralaya, he even doesn't leave Brahma. He will capture everything. So that's how Krishna is. So Krishna tells, even Brahma Loka is not complete, Arjuna. Even that has to go. When I desire, Brahma have to die. So that's how Krishna is. But then Krishna tells, there is another world, Arjuna, where everything is transcendental, everything is eternal. That means there is no dukkha, there is no always sukhalayam, and everything is shashvat. That means everything is eternal and ever freshening. Shashvat doesn't mean it will rot. It means every day it's fresh. That's word is Vaikunta. Kunta means all this, outcomings or less things. But then Vaikunta means what? Which does not have all these outcomings of material world, which is transcendental, always fresh. That's why Krishna tells there is called as transcendental, which to this manifest and unmanifested matter. In this material world, which you see, which you don't see, that means everything, whichever is this in material world, it's all temporary. But then, which is not seen by you, that eternal world is always permanent. When the all world is annihilated and everything is pralaya, when Krishna thinks, I'll destroy everything, he'll destroy everything in this material world. But then there is one planet, or that there are superior planets above, that are Vaikunta, the Ayodhya, the Goloka, everything, the Sakedam, everything are permanent. They are never destroyed. But only this material world, Earth, Swarga, Brahma's planet, Daitya's planet, all planetary system, everything will destroy. So that's what Krishna is telling. Avyaktokshara iti uktas. That means this manifested and unmanifested, both are going to die. But then only Krishna's destination will remain. If you reach there, you won't come back here. So you can see this. I'll show you Goloka chart tomorrow. I wanted to keep that. Goloka chart, there is something that is this black thing you can see here down. That's actually material world. All these small black things in the previous backside of this thing, all these are material worlds. We think our planetary system is the only thing. But then Krishna tells Ananta Koti, there are millions of planetary systems. And everything is coming from Vishnu. That is Karnodakashai Vishnu. Then when Karnodakashai Vishnu, that means Karana, that means he is the one who is making it. So when Karnodakashai Vishnu is giving all this planetary system, and he himself comes in the form of Garbhodakashai Vishnu, from whose navel Brahma is coming out. So that's what Padmanabha we tell, no? That is who is inside this material world, who made Brahma to come up. And Brahma, when he comes, he starts making all the differences in the planetary system. But first creation, Krishna makes. When Krishna makes Brahma, and then secondary creator is Brahma. Then Brahma starts making. Like boss is supplying fund, manager is doing activity. That manager is like Brahma. He is making activity. But who is supplying all the funds to that person? That's Krishna. Okay. And then when all planetary systems are made, in each planets there are each living entities there. So in those living entities, Krishna enters in the heart of every living entity as Kshirodakashai Vishnu. So you can see one, how great is Krishna. He's making big worlds. How smaller than smallest he becomes, he keeps it even in the ant's heart. He's there. So you can see how transcendental Krishna is. Krishna is not limited. Krishna is unlimited. He is Mahato Mahiya Anoraniya. That means even smallest than smallest, biggest than biggest. And but then Krishna is telling, if you transcend this world, if you come out of this everything, all this one layers are there, no? If you come out as a living entities, then you can reach Vaikunta. And above Vaikunta is Goloka. So Krishna is telling that. But then there is something. You can zoom your screen and see there's a thread glowing. If I can show you. There is somewhat called thread, a kind of thread which is going above. If you can see this, you see this? Which thread is that? Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's going above this material world. It's going above. And where is it reaching? It's reaching actually to Goloka. From Vaikunta, again it's going above. From Vaikunta, it's going above, and it's going to Goloka Dham. So that's what it said, no? If you recite Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, then what happens? You can actually uh, go back to Godhead. That's what the speciality is of Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. Okay, so that's the thing Krishna is telling in this chapter, that once you remember Krishna, then you can go back. In Goloka, what will you do? You will play with Krishna, you will serve Krishna, like Yashoda Maya. You can become a servant of Yashoda Maya and play with Krishna. You can become a cow of Krishna, you can become bird of Krishna, anything, whatever form you like. There no restriction for your forms. Here there is restriction. There you can become anything for Krishna's service. That's what. So, but then in Mukundamala Stotra, Kulashekar King is telling, but in old age, how will I do this bhakti? You all are young now. No? When you start chanting, there are people who will tell, in this young age, why are you doing all these things? No? There are people who are asking, why are you doing all these things when you are so young? You can do these things in old age, no? Japamala from this age, from the age of 18, 19, 15. Why are you doing all this? But then Kulashekar King, he's telling in Mukundamala Stotra, how will I chant that holy name of the Lord? How will I meditate on the holy feet, the lotus feet of Krishna, when my throat becomes constricted by the action of my bodily humor, air, the bile and the phlegm? How will I be able to remember you? At the old age, can you really chant? You can't. There is so much tension in your head. Your lungs, you yourself don't know when you will be urinating. You have seen old age people, they don't remember anything, first of all. They will be sitting in one place. Sometimes they'll pass urine and they won't even realize that they have done. So that's how the old age is. At that moment, how will you chant Hare Krishna Maha Mantra? You have seen old age people, they can't even chant they can't even speak properly. At that moment, how will you chant? And what is the proof that you will become old? You may die a very next second also. You may die. We don't know. Old age is not defined by your age. Old age is defined how near you are to the death. No? So that's how. So whatever happens, whoever society may tell hundreds of things, but then, as I said, you should prioritize Krishna consciousness for your life, because that will give you more happiness than whatever people think. People are never satisfied you, never satisfied by you. They'll find not one thing to tell. That's how people are. So only by devotion you can attain Krishna. So this is like dukkalem ashashvatam. Here it's like flickering happiness. You will get happiness, but then again it's kind of a flickering. Okay, that means you will get happiness for some while. Again you are in this is actually dukhalaya. Somewhere you will get happiness. You have seen people who got punishment, like their head will be put in the water. A bucket of water will be there, and your head will be put inside that water. What will happen? You suffocate, you can't breathe. And suddenly your head is pulled out. What you'll feel? You'll feel that happiness, no? And again you are put into the water. Again you are suffocating. Again they're out. Again you are feeling happy. That happiness is considered as the happiness in this material world. Exactly. You are suffocating in this material. Somewhere or the other you are getting happiness, and you are thinking that's what material world is. No, material world is more distress. So that's what it's better you go back to Krishna. So 8 questions of Krishna, and then he answers at the time of death. How is it done? And then he tells, by doing yoga mishrita bhakti, you may go to a certain part, but while you are doing devotional service, this is world like dukhalema shashvatam. Alone by practice. We saw the example of Bharat Maharaj, no? That is kind of yoga mishrita bhakti. You are going alone to the forest and doing. It's not possible. But when you are with devotees and chanting in pure love for Krishna, then Krishna will release you from this material world. And we saw the difference between the material and spiritual world, how spiritual world is different. And then we saw by pure bhakti, only one can attain Krishna's lotus feet, not by other things. So even it's young age, old age, doesn't matter. Doesn't really matter, because every time you are taking birth in this material world, so this old age or young, it's for this body, not for the soul. Soul is eternal. It never becomes old. It is never young. It's constant. There's no age for the soul. Like there is no age for Krishna. There's no age for soul. So it's constant. It's eternal. So better to go to that eternal world where soul actually has to live. Material world is not for the soul, but still we are in this material world like a jail, jail. Okay, Hare Krishna. Are there any question? Actually, Shiva, see, Brahma is like Jiva Tattva, like Azun. He is also Jiva. He will get engulfed when Pralaya happens. But Shiva, if you see this Goloka chart, I'll show you. Shiva is not in this material world. He's above this material world. But then he is not even in the Vaikuntha. He's not even in the eternal planet. He is not even in this material world also. He's somewhere in middle. Okay, I'll show you. You can see this Sadashiva Loka and Mahakala Dham. Mahakala Dham is what we see in this material world. Actual Shiva is in Sadashiva Loka, which we can't see. So when you want to pass from this material world, you are actually passing through this planet. But then because Vishnu, Shiva is called as Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambho, there is special respect for Vaishnava part. So this golden part, this Sadashiva is always meditating on Krishna's lotus feet. That's why he kept Ganga on his head, and because it's Charnamrita. So Sadashiva always meditates on Krishna, and Mahakal is what we see in this material world as Rudra, as Kala, Bhairava, and all of that. It's actually Mahakal. but then above is Sadashiva. So then what happens? He's not like Brahma. He's not like us, Jiva, nor he's like Supreme Lord Krishna. He's in middle. Like Krishna is himself, Vishnu himself, Vaikunta, from Vaikunta, when Krishna comes down, he becomes like a Shiva. And but Shiva can't become Krishna. Like there is a milk pot in your home, and you bring a lemon and squeeze it in the milk. What happens? The milk turns into curd. No, you can turn a milk into a curd by squeezing a lemon, but you can't turn curd into milk. It's not possible. Similarly, Vishnu, when he comes to in contact with this material world, he acts like Shiva. He becomes Shiva by the tinge of that material lemon, material world, Maya. So he becomes like Shiva. And that Maya is none other than Lakshmi's one part. So she acts like Maya and he becomes like a curd. But then the same Shiva can't be like Krishna. Okay, we should not criticize. That's why Vaishnavas don't have to, will never criticize. Actual Vaishnavas will never criticize Shiva because they know the eternal position of Shiva. They are called Shiva Tattva. There is a different Tattva. Like Vishnu has Vishnu Tattva, Shiva has Shiva Tattva. That's why Shiva is called Vaishnavanam Yatha Shambhu. Okay, we should never try to criticize him. But in this material world, when he came as Shambhu or whatever names, but it's a kind of contaminated version of milk itself. But then he is always meditating on. If you see in northern areas, all Shiva temples, ancient Shiva temples, not today's so-called temples, ancient Shiva temples, there is Bhagavatam recitation. Every day there should be Bhagavatam recitation. If you have seen in northern areas. So that's what, because Shiva, every day he wants Bhagavatam. He is addicted to Bhagavatam. Bhagavatam is nothing but Bhagavat Puran, Krishna's Puran. So he's addicted. So that's how even in Kailash, if you go, every day there will be Bhagavatam recitation. But in material world, people have misunderstood Shiva and there's lots of doubts. So we'll not touch that. But whatever I know, I have told you. Whatever my Shiksha Guru taught me, I told you. I don't know much about it. So better, if you want to know more, then you can go to devotees, authorized devotees, not unauthorized, authorized devotees of iskcon. You can ask them. Okay, so I hope you got the answer, Vaishnavi. Pandavas and Kauravas took rebirth. No, Kauravas actually, I don't know what happened to them. Pandavas, they went back to Godhead. They did not, they are like associates of the Lord. So associates of the Lord need not take rebirth and everything. So can we go to Goloka if we always chant Hare Krishna? Yes, that's what, no, the small thread which is going to Golok Dham, it's Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. It's basically Hare Krishna Maha Mantra. That's what Golokera Dvani Harinam Sankirtan. In Chaitanya Charitam, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu tells, you want to listen the sound of Goloka, it's Harinam Sankirtan. So Hare Krishna Maha Mantra is so glorious. That's why we are telling you, chant Hare Krishna, chant Hare Krishna, chant Hare Krishna. Because if you want to go to Krishna, this is the only way in Kali Yuga. That's what Chaitanya Mahaprabhu told. So Kauravas, it said in Mahabharata, I don't know what happened to them exactly, but whatever I heard, they went to Swarga, and Pandavas at the end, they went to Krishna himself. They went to Krishna Loka, that's Vaikunta or Goloka. Can we all, okay. And Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita is said by Krishna. Just now, Bhagavan Uvacha. Krishna is telling here. Bhagavatam is the Wikipedia of Krishna's devotees. Here, Krishna and Arjuna are speaking. Krishna is telling about himself. No, in Bhagavad Gita. Bhagavad Gita, nothing means song of God. God is singing. Bhagavatam is the Wikipedia, what Krishna is telling now in Bhagavad Gita, you will attain Golok Dham, you will come back to me, you will come back to me. In Bhagavatam, it is told, there is a witness. It's like a law case. Here, he's telling about the law. There is the cases of law where devotees actually went to God, Krishna Loka, where devotees like Gajendra, they went back to Vaikuntha, Bhagavatam. Ajamila, he went back to Vaikuntha, Bhagavatam. All the stories are there of how you have to be relation with Krishna. Everything is told in Bhagavad Puran. That's Srimad Bhagavatam. Okay, it's a 18 canto book, huge book. I'll show you the first canto. Okay, this is the first canto of Bhagavatam. You can see it in the screen. This is the first canto of Bhagavatam. This part, it is only the first canto. There are 12 cantos, 18 books, different part 1, part 2. So there are 12 cantos. So it's all written nectar. If you start reading, you won't stop because everything is so nectar. All the dealings with how Krishna is dealing with his friends, how Krishna is dealing with his devotees, everything is written. There's a proof of people who has gone back to Godhead. So Krishna in Bhagavad Gita is telling, you can come back to me. Bhagavatam is showing how the devotees went back to him. So that's how Bhagavatam is. Okay. So after Bhagavad Gita, you can start reading Bhagavatam. You can start because there's so much to read. And there is daily 8 o'clock in the morning, there's class in the temple. Bhagavatam class you can attend once you complete this course. Yes. Yes, Lord Krishna's action towards his devotees. Right? Yes, Akshata Mataji, correct. Okay, we can end this meeting now. I hope all your questions are cleared. If there is any question, you can. It is written in a simple language or is a bit difficult to read. It's in Sanskrit, but then the simple thing is there are purpose. If you have Bhagavad Gita with you, you know there are purpose written by Srila Prabhupada, right? Similarly, in Bhagavatam, there are so many purpose written by Prabhupada. Like a baby, you do spoon feeding to a baby. Baby can't eat, so you do spoon feeding. Similarly, Srila Prabhupada has made like a spoon feeding for us. We can't understand Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita. So he gave the purpose so that we come to know about, all this. All this is written. I can show in the Veda base. It's so nice. Everything you can understand. Even a small child can understand. That's easy. It is written. Okay. You can go through a Veda base. I've shared you the Veda base link, before. Bhagavatam, it's 12 cantos, Mataji. So it's a huge thing to make a commitment. That's why in temple it's already started. Not reading. It's like Namnishta Prabhu, this Shiksha Guru, he is actually explaining us about Bhagavatam. They are already in 3rd canto now. So they are going in a high speed. Every day, one shloka from Bhagavatam they are taking, and they are, they are reading daily. So once this course is ended, I'll introduce you to that course. That's not a course. That's like you can come and go every time. There's no quiz for that and everything. But then it makes you hear more about Krishna. Okay. In every iskcon temple, there is Bhagavatam, like 8 o'clock. It was set, set by Prabhupada. So there are Bhagavatam classes in every temple. Even in iskcon Mangalore, there is our YouTube channel. You can actually locate from the YouTube channel the Bhagavatam classes. Okay, you can locate from there. It's all stories about Krishna in various incarnation, how he was. Okay, so yes. Okay, Hare Krishna, Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha, Kripa Sindhubheva cha, Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha. Ananta Koti Vaishnavi ki Jai, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna.